think we're going? We're going. Alright. You guys voted for this. It has been over a year, I think, since I last hunted for shiny Dunsparce. No joke. The last time I did a stream where I was shiny hunting Dunsparce was back when I was playing Sonic Frontiers. And that was a while back at this point. I can't say for sure what exactly I was doing then in terms of like playing Sonic Frontiers. I don't think we were at Final Horizon yet. Well, maybe we were. I'm trying to remember if that was when Update 3 came out and we were doing Final Horizon, or if it was one of the earlier updates and I was playing through the game like a second time? Because there was the first playthrough, and then I jumped into Extreme right after, I think. And then the updates happened. Hey, Vix. As I was saying, it's been a while, so I have my my shiny Dunsparce sandwich recipe on my phone right now, so I can check it. I do have plenty of ingredients for what we're going to do today, and we're probably not gonna see the legendary 3 segment, but oh yeah, New Game Plus, that's right, that was right after the main playthrough. I did the original playthrough. I think I jumped in New Game Plus for no. New Game Plus wasn't Extreme, was it? I don't think so. Maybe New Game Plus was Update 1 when they added the jukebox, I think, and that was when I was actively going for everything. Or was I actively going for everything in Update 2 because they added new stuff to the map? Okay, original, then Extreme, then New Game Plus. Okay. So that would be original game, Update 1, Update 2, Update 3. I think. I don't fully remember. It's been a bit. I've kind of just moved on from Sonic Frontiers. So, yeah. It has been a little bit since then. Luckily, Sonic Generations probably won't be that messy. Because it'll be Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations, and the Shadow DLC level. And that'll probably be it. Like, I don't think there's gonna be New Game Plus stuff for Sonic. For, like, this re-release with added game content. Friggin' Sonic 3D World plus Shadow's Fury or whatever. But anyway, it's been a while since I've hunted for shiny Dunsparce, no matter what. No matter how we try to classify what all has happened since then. But it has been over a year. I still have all the shiny 2 segments we've gotten so far. And I should have plenty of ingredients to make the sandwiches I need. Because since that year has gone by, we add 1 of each pepper. Either 2 salt. Wait, I forgot to put on the. This is step. There's tofu. 2 tofu. And then the salt. And all of this herba. Granted, it's not like some people out there who have hundreds and hundreds of herba mystica. But, you can tell I was planning to come back at this eventually, because this is like a solid amount of grinding for a couple days, plus a few drops from the newer 7-star Terra Raids, because the Mightiest Mark Terra Raids can now drop Herba, which is surprising, to say the least. Speaking of which, I still have to get the Dragonite. I still have it on my game. I haven't got one yet, because the actual event for the Dragonite was ending while I was on vacation, and the internet at the hotel didn't work, so I had to use my phone and turn on a hotspot just so I could connect to the internet and get the Dragonite on my game before I left. So at this point, once I get that Dragonite, I'll still have missed the Empoleon, I think. And that'll be the only one I missed so far in terms of Mightiest Mark. Anyway, tangent aside, we have lots of Herba, we have a decent amount of everything else. Let's just go. I'm not gonna worry too much about my lack of picks, because if I don't get a shiny on a sandwich, I just reset. Here's the thing I want to mention. I think this is the first time I'm actually hunting with the charm, I think? Vix, you were here for some of my Dudunsparce stuff, I believe. So, did I have the shiny charm at that point? I don't remember if I did or not. But, long story short, we should be seeing more shiny Dudunsparces. Hopefully. I need to turn my TV down a bit. I don't want it echoing the mic too bad. So, I need to put all the stuff on it. The tofu's probably the hardest part because it's so big. And these are all just kind of paper thin, so who cares? And then just dump the top. There we go. You don't know either? Well, either way, we should be having some fairly decent luck. Good question. I'm hoping that we see... So I've done 3 streams of this. We usually see 2 or 3 per stream. No, that would make sense, because 3 streams, 10 Dudunsparce, so that'd be more like 3 or 4. I'm hoping we see at least 3 today. Let's back up and go. And if I remember correctly, we want to go down to Station 3 and go down from there. So I think 3 is when the actual cave bit starts. And then Dudunsparce will appear everywhere except for, I believe, the watery bits at the bottom. It starts right here. Keeping a close eye on you guys, because, you know. Also, I still have Robo Santa from the, battle stuff I kind of tried to do for a bit and then dropped out super quickly. Okay. So we should be seeing Dudunsparce right about now. There we go. And we're just looking for pink, really. Yeah, it's been a while since I've done this. Hopefully I don't strain my eyes too much trying to look for the pink colors. I'm like hyper-focused on every Dudunsparce and making sure like Am I passing it or not? Is the lighting messing with my head? Who knows? Yeah, I haven't actually done that much in terms of shiny hunting lately. During, I think it was the Dondozo event, they had all 3 Tatsugiris in a special shiny boosted, what's the word? Why am I blanking on this? Outbreaks, I think? 1 form per region, and I did shiny hunt all of those. Besides that, I have not really done any major shiny hunting in Violet in so long. Like, the last shiny hunting thing I think I did before then was going out of my way to get a shiny Sandshrew for Teal Mask. So, yeah, it's been a bit. If the game was just better in general, it'd be one of the best Pokemon games of all time, but no, they rush it out the door. It's such a shame, really, because, like, there's so much about this game that I actually legitimately do love. Like, the story stuff, fantastic. Music, top-notch. But because the game was so rushed, it looks like shit and it runs like shit. And it's so disappointing that this has basically become the Sonic 06 of Pokemon. Where it was rushed out the door, it needed like an extra year of dev time it didn't get, and while so much stuff could theoretically be seen as really good, you're never going to be able to properly enjoy it because the game is constantly, you know, freaking out. And just not working right. And suddenly you're clipping from the ground, and it's like, what the hell? It's so frustrating to me. It's so frustrating to me. But it seems that the Pokemon Company, judging by how Legends ZA's been marketed so far, we might not have this happen again. Theoretically, you'd think they would have learned after Sword and Shield, because people were mocking them about the N64 trees, but no, it had to sink even lower before they got the message. So, oops. It's been like 20 years to get the Gen 9 remake. Imagine. The day we get a proper, like, remake of one of these, like, at this time, modern games, is gonna be so weird. Cause, like, I don't know if people are gonna be as hyped about it. And by that point, we're probably gonna have Kanto remade for, like, a 5th time. Like, the remakes, it's weird, cause, people really loved Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And then after that, the remakes kind of dipped. Because the Gen 4 remakes, I think, were a little bit too close to the original Diamond and Pearl, and people weren't happy about that. Not to mention they ran into similar issues, though not as bad as what happened with Scarlet Violet. And then they remade the Kanto games, remade Pokemon Yellow, but, made it Pokemon Go, and people were kind of sick of it, I think. At least from what I remember. I might be wrong on that. So, honestly, I kind of worry about the future remakes. In case things go south for those. But again, they seem to be learning the right lessons after what happened this gen, so maybe it'll be okay. I don't know. I will say this though, at least the Gen 4 remakes allow you to shiny hunt legendaries. You can't fucking do that here! I wish I could! It'd be nice, but no, you can't do that. We're just not allowed to have shiny legendaries anymore on this special event, which is so disappointing. I forgot to put the final version of music in the release bill. So that would mean that Pokemon Scarlet Violet would be Sonic 06, and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl would be Sonic Superstars. Got it! Oh, man. I kid, but, like, man. You know what's funny? People on Twitter are still getting upset over Sonic stuff, being like, you know, this game isn't actually that good after all, blah, blah, blah. And here I am, even after all my complaints I had with Superstars, repeatedly going back and replaying the main story over and over again. So, like, Sonic games are actually fun when you don't have people shouting in your ear that they're bad. I did have a chance to try out multiplayer a couple months ago, and even with just 2 players, the game fell apart so fast. Oh, man. So hilarious to me. But as a single-player Sonic game, Sonic Superstars is actually pretty good as long as you play the main campaign. Though, I will admit, part of me is tempted to try out something really stupid. Trips campaign. You normally need the Chaos Emeralds at multiple points, because you need to slow down certain passageways in order to get through. And I think you need to turn Super to get past a really big pit in the final level. So I think they expect you to have all 7 Chaos Emeralds. I want to see what happens if I theoretically can make it past that without having all 7 emeralds. Normally you have all 7 Chaos Emeralds with Trips campaign, boom, last story. I want to see what happens if I can somehow make it to the end without collecting all 7 emeralds. Like, will the last story still unlock with, like, only a few emeralds? Or would it theoretically be possible that it'd be like, you haven't collected the Chaos Emeralds, go back and get them! I want to try it, but, that would mean having to play through a Trips campaign again. You know how I feel about that. Yeah, I'll probably still do it. I'm curious. I'm freaking curious. Like, you never know. Like, you know how when speedrunners play Sonic Frontiers, they just skip everything, and then Sonic just goes super from the purple emerald alone? I want to see if something like that happens. Where, like, I have 2 emeralds, I get through, beat Fang, and then last campaign opens up, and Sonic goes super with only 2 Chaos Emeralds. I want to see if there's a proper Chaos Emerald check or not. Because if there isn't, that'd be the funniest thing. That'd be the funniest thing. Sort of thing like giving Meatborn champion eating items. The prize would take. Oh my gosh. Ugh. That doesn't sound fun. Oh god! Hidden abilities and everything? Jesus! That sounds like a disaster! What the heck? That seems abysmal. Why would you do that? Like, I understand if it'd be for, like, rematches and such, because you can rematch Elite Four in a lot of these games. But, like, you're talking the first fight against them, they're going full competitive? You're kidding. What? That seems so busted. Gee, I hope someone was fired for that blunder. But the one thing I always think of when I think of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is the fact that the calculations they do to calculate spots on Spinda are done inverse of what they should be. So you can't actually send them to other games, and Spinda and other games can't go in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. And they never fixed it. Like that right there is gonna cement the whole legacy of what Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is. Just something like that slipping through because they didn't have the time to properly play test, I guess. Granted, though, at least those games came out better than what the fuck happened here. I'll admit. Like, it could have went a lot worse. But it's still not great, you know? Any other fight, so when you reach the end game, it just massively spikes in difficulty. Like, I understand they're the final bosses, but jeez. You'd be like playing through Sonic Frontiers and having kind of a comfy time the whole time, maxing all your stats. And then suddenly, Master King Coco. How do I make use about Sonic? Oh my gosh. Hey, we were talking about Sonic Frontiers earlier, and it kind of links back to the whole thing I was doing back when this was first going on. So, like, it all comes full circle. The more things change, the more they stay the same, or however that saying goes. Oh, man. Yeah, some of the decisions there kind of seem a bit... Ew, you know? What were they thinking? I don't really know an optimal route to see the most encounters possible like this, so I'm kind of just wandering around and hoping I see something. But I know about that one spot down towards the bottom, there's the big cliffside. It's kind of like a, not really an island, but like this huge rock that stuff spawns on, and you can see like 20 spawns at a time. And you just go back and forth on a crystal and just look carefully, but at the same time, that sounds really boring. As someone who I think did that during part of this Dudunsparce hunt, as well as doing that a lot for Shiny Iron Bundle when I traded those out. Getting 2 boxes was a nightmare, because I was just doing that constantly for weeks. I would do it for a couple hours, get bored, come back to it later. I think it was weeks, I don't remember. It all felt so slow and tedious, I just didn't have fun doing it. Oh, come on, I wasn't anywhere near you, buddy. I wasn't anywhere near you. Was that what they went bang? Yeah. But at the same time, it shouldn't have released like that. But hey, at least Knuckles feels a little bit better now. So that's good. I don't know if I'd ever play through Final Horizon again, even with the tweaks they made to Master King stuff. How much easier is that anyway? Now the tweaks have been made, is it just like more of a grace period for perfect parries, or what? Because like doing the frame perfect stuff was so annoying. It was so annoying. Not to mention the lore implications of Final Horizon being like an alternate timeline thing. Like, how much of that is really what happened? Because so much is different from the Final Horizon ending compared to the actual like main game ending. Like, it feels like a good end, bad end scenario in a weird way, you know? It's not just me, right? The real major difference, really, is that Sage survives in Final Horizon. So I guess we'll have to see, like, how future games deal with that. Because, like, they expressly show her survive in Final Horizon. In the OG game, I think it's alluded to that she's still alive via, like, a backup on Eggman's servers. Like, that's it. And there's no sign of a physical body. She still has the physical form at the end of Final Horizon. So is that going to be our determinant for which ending is canon? Or are they just going to outright say that one ending is not canon and we're just having fun? They're trying to get the lore back on track, and we're already getting to a point where it's confusing again. Look at both into the whole literally changes. I wouldn't say literally nothing. Yeah, post credits they show that she's on the Eggman servers, but she got the physical form from the interaction with cyberspace, and I don't know if the backup on Eggman servers would really have that. In comparison to Final Horizon, where she is still alive, still has the physical form, Eggman's being all sentimental, calling her his daughter. So like there's still a little difference there with how that ending is, you know, how that ending is done. Everyone else is basically normal. Like, you know, everyone just kind of leaves, goes on their own separate adventures. It's kind of it. Eggman and Sage are the real major differences in terms of the ending. It's that everything else that also happens is just so different. I would love to think that the Supersonic 2 stuff is the canon reality, but I don't know. Showing cyberspace stuff, like, I guess. But I feel like Eggman could potentially go in different directions based off of each of the endings. Like, I know Eggman would still be interested in the cyberspace stuff regardless. But I feel like him tapping into cyberspace would work out a little differently depending on if Sage was still alive or not. I mean, like, as in, like, the actual ending fight stuff. Especially because we don't, like, it's weird. The post-credit scene that teases that Sage is still alive via backup shows it happens in the main campaign. There's no equivalent in Final Horizon. There's no post-credit scene. So, what's Eggman doing now? I might be asking really dumb questions here, but like at the same time, considering how Sonic Superstars, like half of the lore just doesn't exist anymore, I guess. Like, how can I make sure that everything's kept on track and we have all of the lore when they've admitted themselves, uh-oh, there's lore missing in the very next Sonic game. Oops. I'm fine with being left some questions to answer, but like, I should feel like I have enough. Maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit, but Sonic, in his attempt to get the lore back on track, also gets nitpicky. So like, I feel like I should be asking these questions too. I might be desperate. Wasn't both vague? Maybe. At the same time, isn't there still like a technical, like, major lore difference with Final Horizon in terms of like Sonic, you know, training and getting the cyberspace power all under control and such? If I remember correctly, there were little bits in there in terms of actual story. I think. It's been a bit, and I don't want to go back and check, because I don't want to load up Final Horizon again. But, there is still plenty of stuff that happens during that story that's still a bit, you know, different. Let's not forget how they introduce the other playable characters in this. Like, we get the part where Sonic basically gets put in stasis in a way after Rhea. And all of his friends sacrifice themselves to bring him back. And then, depending on which version of the story you play, they're either stuck in cyberspace entirely until Sonic saves the day, or they get summoned out of cyberspace again to force the corruption back into Sonic, I think. And now they're getting fully affected in the same way Sonic is, as they're hunting down the Chaos Emeralds. How does the corruption affect them the same way that it does Sonic? Because Sonic was able to fully escape cyberspace when they first arrived. And he only started experiencing corruption stuff when he was freeing his friends, who are, like, half physical, but not really. Like, they do have physical bodies and can still interact with stuff to an extent, but they're still, like, ghosts. They're still, like, digital ghosts in a way. So, like, half of their being, I guess, is still stuck in cyberspace. So I feel like them getting cyber corruption wouldn't work the same way as it was Sonic. And they explicitly said that the stuff that happens with the characters as they're getting the emeralds and they're getting affected. Like, Amy explicitly says that this is what's happening with Sonic. But I feel like it'd be a little different when you're half digitized, you know? Question probably comes from the end. That would make sense. That would make sense in terms of, like, the coloration of everything. I could see it. But they don't make that entirely clear. They just call it cyber corruption. So it makes you think it's like a defense system, or like it's a result of improper use of cyberspace or something. Again, they're not super clear with a lot of this stuff. Which makes me wonder if they're going to expand all that stuff in a sequel, or if Sonic Frontiers 2, quote-unquote, is going to be a whole separate thing. And don't even get me started on the Chaos Emerald lore we got dropped in the original game. It's like... So now we have a proper story about the Ancients bringing the Chaos Emeralds from their home planet. Master Emerald was seemingly always on Earth. Like, I do have a kind of theory that kind of links it at least a little bit with the Echidna stuff. I think I've brought it up before. So, the way I'm seeing it is that the Chaos Emeralds are drawn into the Master Emerald, they have some sort of reaction. The Ancients are like, what the fuck? What's going on with this? And during the time when they had the civilization on the Starfall Islands, they're trying to figure out what the connection is between the Emeralds. And I want to say, since there is a clear link between the stuff on Angel Island and the stuff with the Ancients' original homeland on Earth, Starfall Islands, considering how Knuckles gets there, I'm thinking that maybe the Super Emeralds were an attempt to kind of harness both the Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald at the same time, but it wasn't stable. And they couldn't, like, stabilize it enough to make it work before their entire civilization collapsed. And then Sonic 3 Knuckles happens. And then Sonic uses the Super Emeralds, goes hyper, but only the one time. And then the Super Emeralds kind of break, and they get that kind of cracked, dull appearance they have in Mania. That might be me looking a bit too deep into it, but I could totally see that. And then after all the Angels are wiped out, except for one that ends up becoming Chaos, and because of the clear connection between all the Angel Island stuff and the Ancients, that leads to all the Echidna Tribe stuff. With Sonic Adventure and everything. And we know how that is referenced in Gerald Robotnik's research. Because he was looking into all that stuff in Adventure 2, and they're gonna go into that a bit more detail in the Shadow Generation stuff, thank God. And tying it all together. I'm still trying to piece together how Sonic Unleashed fits into all this. It's like, would that happen after? So, like, the Echidna Tribe gets wiped out, the Chaos Emeralds scatter, and then the Gaia stuff happens? Where all of these civilizations build the Gaia temples and the Chaos Emeralds are reacting there, maybe? Unleashed is the one point that makes it feel a little bit weird to me. So I could connect Frontiers to the adventure games and Sonic 3 Knuckles fairly easily. That's all kind of knit together pretty well. Unleashed is a big question mark. Ian said New Brisbane. Wasn't that kind of implied by the game itself? Because, like, the end is the voice talking to Sonic the whole time. And anytime Sonic gets a new power from the Cyber Corruption specifically, and bring his friends, the end, I think, is like, use this power, you are the key stuff, you know? And we gotta reset, we didn't get shiny. But, like, I think that's kind of implied as the big twist when you realize, wait a minute, the end? That voice was the bad guy the whole time? That whole thing. The Gaia stuff probably just happened. Well, I figured that much, but the Emeralds definitely do play a part to some extent, considering the Gaia temples rejuvenate the Emeralds after Eggman drains all their power to free Dark Gaia early. So, I don't know. Especially considering that when each emerald's restored, a piece of the planet goes back to its normal spot. So, like, there is a link with the Gaia temples and Earth and the Chaos Emeralds. But it's not as easily knit together with the rest of the Emerald stuff right now. Unleashed feels so weird to me in that regard. I hope they elaborate on it a little bit, because, like, they linked it with the Echidna tribe, and that's a link with Jared Urbana. They're linking that all pretty well. It's just Unleashed that feels a bit off. It's just Unleashed that's bugging me. Obviously, the natural, like, the destruction and rebirth of the world, millions of years, yeah, that probably did happen plenty of times before the Chaos Emeralds were introduced, but considering the link the Emeralds have with it all now, what's all that about? I hope they sort that out soon enough, because again, they're trying to get all the lore together, trying to patch up any holes, trying to get everything back on track, but like, if they're gonna explain something about the Chaos Emeralds, they gotta do a better job. And again, let's not forget, Sonic Superstars, half of the lore just wasn't in the game, or even the side material. Zenith was like, hey, there's a lot of stuff that's supposed to be here that's just not here. What's all that about? It's just so frustrating. They act like they want to get the lore straight again, and then they go and do that because Superstars was rushed out the door again. Thanks, Sonic Team. I'm blaming them more than ours is. Like, I feel like that's more of a Sega Sonic Team problem. Some months later, they started using... maybe. Maybe. Now I'm also wondering how much stuff got omitted in Superstars as well. Because now it's a whole extra civilization where their islands just kind of cause the Chaos Emeralds to have extra abilities for some reason, and it only ever happens there, and there's the whole thing with the dragon and the freaking Black Opal or whatever that only shows up at the very end, and what the hell is Superstar's plot? I'm just so confused by it. They're answering more stuff by the Emeralds. They're adding on to the Emerald lore, and they're trying to link it. But then they go and muddy the waters again immediately afterwards. Like, what's going on here? Like, maybe if it was still classic Sonic and alternate dimension stuff that was in Forces or some godforsaken reason, maybe you could forgive it a bit. Oh, the Chaos Emeralds with their backstory and classic Sonic's version of events, and it's all a bit different there. But like, no, they went and said no. Classic Sonic from the past again. Shut up. Forces is dumb. We're trying to fix that. We're sorry. Like, what's up with that? What's up with Superstars and the missing half of the plot? It just kind of feels that stuff just happens in it now. There are pieces to this puzzle which are missing. I'm not gonna act like Sonic's some pinnacle of storytelling or anything, because, let's face it, a lot of it is just not. But at the same time, when they're explicitly trying to, think about lore and trying to keep everything somewhat consistent, you start to question a lot of the details, Especially when they're adding more stuff in that kind of complicates things. I just don't know. Casually retcon the retcon of the retcon with the original retcon. Like I said, it's a mess. Sonic has a lot of lore details to clean up, and it's a mess. Again, I'm glad an attempt is being made, but they're not doing the best job of it right now, and it's a bit awkward. Like, new Emerald lore is nice, but can at least try to make sense with a lot of the old stuff? I just want things to make a little bit more sense, Now I'm curious to see what kind of stuff got scrapped from Superstars. Like, what stuff was cut out that was part of this whole story. Because Superstars was definitely rushed, and what story is there is thrown haphazardly all over the place. Just like, what's going on here? You know? Maybe I shouldn't be, but at the same time, like, you start to think about these things. I wouldn't think about it so much if there wasn't this effort to try to get the lore back on track, but they're also just confusing it at the same time. Like, an effort is definitely being made. Like, there was a whole cutscene dedicated to fixing Tails because of what happened with Forces and how poorly it was dealt with there. So an effort is being made to bring everything together, but at least from what I can tell with the Shadow stuff, at least that isn't going to be muddying the waters that much. I hope. I assume it wouldn't mess with it as much as what's going on with the Chaos Emeralds right now. So, you know, there's that at least. Like, having a proper look at Professor Gerald's actual research, like, that's pretty cool. Not to mention the casual acknowledgement of Sonic Battles. Yeah, that whole thing, still canon. Yep. Gizoids and Emerald and all that. Don't forget. Thinking about how the stuff with Shadow is happening during Sonic Generations, but he's going to places that haven't been encountered yet at that point in the timeline. Bit concerning, but I hope they figure that out a little bit. I mean, maybe you're right about them not having enough time to fix everything so far. But at the same time, like, they've been giving us little bits and pieces every now and again. Even if a lot of it's done in freaking YouTube videos, but at least that's something. And then you have a major, like, mainline Sonic game just fumbling it. And just being super confusing with its story. To the point where Ian Flynn, the guy who, I don't want to say is fully in charge of it or anything, but he's the lore guy basically at this point. Even he's like, there's a lot of stuff that's just not here. Like, that's a red flag. Like, I understand, like, this bit's not working, let's cut it out. But apparently the stuff that was working, that was just never properly elaborated on. I guess. So now I'm questioning their efforts. Anyway. Yeah, Superstars kind of did just fumble pretty hard, didn't it? Like, I still liked the game, at least the main campaign anyway, but like, so much of it just feels off. And again, it was probably just due to it being rushed again. Just welcome to Sonic Land, home of rushing games out the damn door. But, come on. Okay. Sure, you can be inside that rock, okay. You can stay in there. Fine. Whatever. Crazy Dudunsparce. Normally I see one by now. I haven't seen her shiny yet. So that's a little bit concerning. I feel like I might have missed one. Because this game is not very kind about that, because unlike Legends Arceus, there's no sound cue. There's no sound cue when a shiny spawns, and that was one of the major complaints people had with the way Pokemon are spawned in this game. And honestly, with how bad some of these shinies are in Gen 9, it feels like it'd be necessary. It's like, oops. Just a lot of blue. Or I guess kind of like a greenish blue, if anything. Maybe like a teal. I need that pink. I wouldn't say no chance, but like, if they were able to put that in so close to release, they could have easily brought it into this at some point. At the very least, they could have patched it in, or made it like an option or something. Hell, they could have just straight up copied the damn code, because this came out after. So it was already there, already functional, and people loved it, and they just didn't do anything with it for this version. Like, I understand the gameplay mechanics are a lot different between mainline and spin-off Pokemon, but at the same time, come on, if you're gonna spawn Pokemon like this, yeah. Like, when did these games come out again? Like, Legends Arceus, I believe, was February of 22? And then Scarlet Violet came out that November? So there was definitely time to put it in. Right? Then again, there was time to put other stuff in here, I guess, but it got rushed, but like... even if they couldn't fix anything major. And even then we've had updates and DLC and stuff that added extra options and random stuff, so like, I don't know, why couldn't they put it in there? Maybe there's just something I'm not quite getting with how these games are developed. But I feel like it wouldn't have been that hard to at least bring that over at some point within the extra year of DLC stuff we got. And the small, barely did anything updates. So, like, I don't know. we just gotta hope Generation 10 at least puts it in. Because, man... I'm trying to find a goalkeeper. Oh, that. Well, that would have still happened at. I would assume the lore keeper stuff would happen during Frontiers to an extent, which meant Superstars was also in development. I'm just wondering how Superstars ended up losing half of its lore or something. And Ian Flynn was like, yeah, a lot of the stuff that was supposed to be lore for Superstars just wasn't there. What happened? Yeah, I could totally see it, because, like, the dragon shows up out of nowhere. Like, you get the little reference to it if you watch the prologue cartoon, and then you see the mural for a few seconds when you beat Act Knuckles in Golden Capital. But, like, that's it. Then it just shows up out of nowhere. It's like, what? When did this happen? Like, there are things that just don't seem quite right in Superstars. How long would you say that Superstars would have been in development for? Because obviously Superstars was in development when Frontiers came out. And that would probably be around the time they started trying to get a little lore in gear. And then Superstars wouldn't come out for another year or so after Frontiers. And I'm just kind of questioning like how that got messed up so bad. Because, like, the game would have probably been in development for another year after Frontiers first came out. So, would a year not be enough time to correct course? Then? Even with the game being rushed out the door very clearly as it was? Maybe they didn't spend so much time on that worthless, like, multiplayer battle mode. Priorities. I find it so dumb how, like, fleshed out, but also not fleshed out at all the multiplayer was. Like the robot stuff, because like they have like a pretty decent amount of customization for the robots. They have a decent number of maps and different game modes and stuff in there. and a full-on like, ranking system that tracks for thousands of goddamn games, I think. Like, what the fuck is that about? Like, we would have been okay with, like, a split-screen competition mode, and yet a lot of dev time was put into whatever that was. That probably has something to do with why the game was all weird. Again, to be fair, that's not even a specific problem to Superstars. That's a Sonic problem in general. I brought Sonic 06. While Sonic 06 was having trouble with its development, they were still doing stuff like Team Attack Amigo DLC and Extra Hard Mode DLC. Like, guys, finish the game first! Oh, wait a minute! Hey, you. I'm glad I noticed that. Hello there, buddy. The first one of the night. It only took an hour. Dust Bowl, why not? I probably should have brought out something that can paralyze. Let's be fair. Paralyze or sleep. But hey, it's fine. Whatever. Well, there was a normal hard mode for the levels in 06, but the extra hard stuff, extra hard mode, was DLC. And again, Team Attack Amigo exists as well. I'm just saying that maybe they should focus on making sure the main game is finished and works well before they do the side stuff. That's all I'm saying. Get your priorities in gear. Anyway. We got our first Dudunsparce of the night. We finally got one. Why is your hitbox so damn big? I am nowhere near you, and it's always the Dudunsparce to do this. What the hell? You're kidding. Extra hard mode was going to be the base game originally? What? Priorities. Gotta love having priorities that make no sense whatsoever. I hope that's a thing that Sega's learned. Focus on making the main game actually work first. Two major lessons that Sega and Sonic team need to learn, and maybe they have by now, but it's taken them way too long. Don't rush games, and make sure the main game's done before you do any side stuff. Unleashed DLC was given the same way? Are you kidding me? What the fuck? Guys! Come on! Why are they like this? Why the fuck are they like this? So dumb. It's just so dumb. I hope Sonic and Shadow Generations is the first step to them proving that they can indeed get their shit together. There's clearly hope. There's clearly some sort of promise, you know? That the game will actually be goddamn finished. But now I'm starting to think the Shadow level they wanted to put as DLC was also meant to be in the base game, because now I'm paranoid about that. Great. So maybe things haven't changed. I don't know. Now I just can't be too sure. Early builds were unleashed, DLCs were present, and have placeholder spots for medals? What? Oh my god. A singular loading with nothing around it. Oh my god. Guys. I guess that could explain why one of the DLC levels made it into Frontiers. It was meant to be in the original game. Just straight up. A fully optional thing, mind you, obviously. But, like, it was meant to be there. It's funny to think about. Like, isn't that one Unleashed level that was brought in, that was the DLC level? Wasn't that the only one that was from a DLC across the entirety of the reused levels? It's like, most of the levels that came back were just bits and pieces from Sonic Generations. Skyrail, I think, showed up at one point. I want to say Green Forest made it in. Metal Harbor. So, like, SA2 and Generations were the main go-to games they put in for reused levels. And then there's just the random DLC level from Sonic Unleashed. Okay. The stats for Super Sonic 2 have been found. What the fuck? Guys! Granted, Final Horizon I feel like was meant to be how the ending was supposed to play out to begin. But then they had to cobble shit together because the game was rushed. But at the same time, that can only get you so far. I almost reset the shiny away. Oops. Alright, so we have our first shiny of the night. We're gonna do like maybe 2 more sandwiches. But first, let's do a nature guess. I'm gonna guess gold. Why not? Locks. No mark. And we gotta put on Hyper Drill. So it'll evolve. I don't know why it has Dragon Rush. And then can we evolve it? Will this be our 3 segment? Probably not. Nope, 2 segment. That mix. 11. And just remember, I'm keeping all of these except for one of the 2 segments is gonna stay with me, but the rest is the rest are gonna be traded out to people. That's gonna happen when I get my 3 segment. Anyway, let's warp out of here. Let's unuse actual 4th island for the Tower Island. Oh my god! Oh my god! Sonic Team! Why are you like this? Can we not do this anymore? Okay. So, let's make another sandwich and go again! Weird lighting error. Love those. 2 tofu, 2 salt, and any 2 herba. I have a lot of bitters. There we go. I wonder how they decide the order of the ingredients on the top, because I selected the 3 bell peppers and then 2 tofu, but the tofu are kind of spread out between the bell peppers? And it's obviously not alphabetical, because the tofus are separated. Huh. What is it with me playing games that are unfinished and have some really weird design flaws? Very strange indeed. Why is that the type of game I play so much? Unfinished, what the fuck? That's not encounter power. I need 2 herba mystica, except for 1 sour, 1 sweet. I put 2 bitter and it didn't work. This sandwich guide's a bit off. Let me try another one. Let me try resetting the game and do another one. I did save, so that Dudunsparce is still fine, don't worry. 1 tomato, 1 onion, 1 green pepper, and 1 hamburger with the 2 tofu, and any 2 herba mystica with no exceptions. Okay. This one might actually work consistently. Funny how the first result on Google Images is one that's wrong, or at least flawed. Uh-oh. Month of the guy's colors change. Sonic Team. All right. So let's try this recipe instead. So I am low on tomatoes. Oh, I'm very low on onions too. Oh shit! I need to stock up. Good thing the item printer allows me to get so much freaking money in this game. I'm near the max, so I can just get everything right now. Right, tomato, onion, green pepper, and burger. And 2 tofu. And then just put the herba mystica on straight up. So this should actually work if I can balance everything. So, tofu. A second layer of tofu. And I guess maybe the tomatoes. Hamburger. Oh boy. It's a lot more awkward to stack. Because it's a high stack. Pepper. Let's not forget the weird collision in physics these ingredients have sometimes do really weird things. I remember seeing one where back before we decided that putting the sandwich top on was optional. Someone tried putting a top on and it made every ingredient spray out everywhere. Because of the weird physics. It's like, let's not forget that this ain't as like smooth as the curry was in Gen 8. Coming from someone who has not played Gen 8. At least that seems like it'd be more smooth because it's not physics-based. Just pick your ingredients, stir and heat well enough, and you're good. No balancing act required. So long story short, Frontier's is also a bit of a mess. Got it. Why am I not surprised? Damn it, Sonic Team, why are you like this? Why are you like this? Okay, look. I don't even know how to properly react to that. The hitbox on these the Dudunsparce are just so weird. I forgot how bad some of the hitboxes are. At least the hitboxes on these guys aren't as bad as, like, Fletchling. For some reason, you can encounter halfway across the goddamn map, and there's nothing you can do about it. They're so small you don't notice they're there, and then they're like halfway across the screen, and they still somehow encounter you. They're annoying. So it could be worse, it's just... Game! When the day finally comes that I get myself a 3-segment shiny, I know there are going to be people asking me to do Tandem Mouse, and no. Because it would effectively be this again. Like, almost exactly. Just in a different spot. And with it even harder to see shiny because the Pokemon's so damn small. And the shinies. Ugh. I think doing this once is enough, you know? Doing it the one time is plenty for me. Or at the very least, if I do a kind of mouse thing in the future, it's gonna be eggs, and I'm probably not gonna stream it because I've done shiny hunts with eggs before on stream. If you think this is boring, the egg stuff was worse because I would just be sitting around waiting for eggs and then going around in a circle for half an hour. So half hour for eggs, another half hour to hatch them, and maybe we're getting like 60 encounters an hour, and it was slow and it was tedious and I hated it. And I don't want to do that again on stream. I was just kind of bored. And to an extent, I kind of feel it here, but at least with these shiny hunting streams, I at least get the opportunity to chat with you guys. I'm not focused on the game quite as much. Shiny hunting is a lot more casual-ish, you know? Like, I still have to focus enough to see the color difference, but I'm just doing this. It's a lot less intensive than half the stuff I've done in Sonic or Mario, where I have to keep my eyes on the screen because I'm trying to platform. Black armor version of Spire's supposed to appear in Chronos. Huh. Again, Sonic Team! This is definitely a lot more chill, but at the same time, you're not going to be seeing me do these streams for like 4 or 5 hours. Like some of the other stuff I've played, I've gone on for 4 or 5 hours straight, and it's been great. But that was a lot more high energy, and I feel like I can handle high energy for a long amount of time. Meanwhile, when I'm doing chill stuff, I kind of just want to end it after a couple hours because I feel like I'm gonna pass out. I'm just drained. So I'm like, well, I have no real reason to mainly focus so hard. I don't have to lock in. I'm just kind of... Because, like, as hype as it is to find a shiny, doing this is a lot less fun than running through Mario Wonder, you know? Like, that was a lot of fun. I couldn't stop thinking about it during my time playing that. I wanted to get back in the stream that so quick. I wish that I didn't have stream problems back early on. It would cause the stream to go on for like an hour and I had to stop. Because I wanted to keep playing. It was fun. I loved it. This, I'm like, I took a whole year off of doing this because it's just this. It's just this. Like, shiny hunting is such a blessing and a curse. Because it's a blessing in the fact that it's hype when you find a shiny. It's really satisfying when it happens. And you get plenty of time to just kind of chill and talk with people. But at the same time, I feel like other people are more properly prepared for half this stuff. It's like, I'm working with the one monitor. I don't have, like, earbuds or anything to go with my phone, so I can't, like, listen to music or anything while it's going on. Without it bleeding into the stream. You know? I would absolutely love, like, getting some decent earbuds, having some music or a YouTube video playing in the background while I stream. Just something kind of kind of nice to keep me occupied. So it's not just this with the one music track. Hell, I would take just having a proper jukebox mode, like going back to Sonic again. When the update, I think update 1 added the jukebox. Or was it update 2? I think that was update 1 that added that. That was great. It wasn't the same it wasn't like the same like 1 or 2 tracks of environmental stuff in the islands. I could play a whole variety of Sonic music, and I could find more as I play the game. Like, that was really cool. Having some sort of music player I could shuffle through songs with would make this so much less tedious. It's like, again, I think the music in Scarlet and Violet is good. And Area Zero's music is also amongst some of the best music in the game. But listening to it almost constantly for 2 hours straight gets to you. It gets to you after a bit. This black armor caterpillar, its own fully done attacks animations, like a little disc gets shot. What? Oh my gosh. Sonic Team! Was first update? Okay. Just making sure. Because I was also thinking it may have been added during the second update, because they added more songs for that, I think. Or at the very least, like, the default theme was replaced with the Happy Birthday remix medley thing. Which was a whole thing. Why did it have to restart anytime you would die? Like, you're happy with the medley, and then Sonic falls in the water, goes, whoa! And then it's back to Happy Birthday! It's like, come on! Because you couldn't select specific songs in that. It was one big thing. It was so annoying. So one gripe I have with Update 2, which is that being a thing. It's so dumb. Well, at least they got to properly use that stuff they finished, so there's that at least. Kinda like what happened with Supreme, huh? Extra QTE stuff that was finished, but they had to chop some of that fight out because the game was rushed. And when they had the chance to put it back in for Final Horizon, they just didn't. For some reason. Sonic Team! Oh, man. Please let Shadow Generations be a finished game. Please let Shadow Generations be a finished game. At least it seems like Shadow Generations is actually going to be a finished game this time. I know people were starting to go a bit like panic mode because someone did the weird like momentum glitch that Frontiers had. Like when you're on like a scripted path and you jump sometimes, like your momentum like goes extremely, you fly way out of bounds. Like that happened again. And people were really like, oh no, it's gonna be so bad they rushed the game again, but like that's just an engine thing at that point, considering Shadow Generations was built off Frontiers. It's very obvious that Shadow Generations was built off the Frontiers engine. So, you know. I feel like a lot of the problems with the physics would be kind of the same. I'm I'm sure they'll try ironing it out a little bit, because we still got a little bit to go before the game comes out. And heck, they probably... There's a chance they fixed some of the stuff that was messed up in the demo by now anyway. But there's a chance that some of this is already fixed. I just want the game to be finished, okay? I want a Sonic game I can just say was finished before it released and wasn't clearly rushed out the door. Because so many Sonic games, there's clear evidence that it was rushed out the door. To the point where it's basically like the series' go-to thing. It's so consistent. I hope that cycle gets fucking broken, because I am sick of it. Is it too much to ask that we get a Sonic game that's actually finished before it releases? Is that so bad? I know about, like, the weird, like, M-Speed, I think it's called, the weird M-Speed glitch in Unleashed, but that takes more effort to pull off. Like, the weird momentum issue with Frontiers and the Shadow demo is just you jump during a scripted segment and the physics go haywire. Like, that is a lot easier to pull off, and therefore it's a lot more severe of an issue. Like, Unleashed speedrunners who have to do the M-Speed glitch in order to get good times, even they bring up that it's a hard trick to pull off. Like, it takes a lot of effort to do that weird physics stuff there. Frontiers, you can do it by accident, just by jumping jumping a bit too early. And suddenly you're flying way out of the map, past the skybox, into the void, never to be seen again. I feel like there's a pretty major difference there. Like, every game's gonna have its share of glitches. It's just that I want a lot of the obvious ones to be gone. You know? And since this was also a thing in the last game, well, it can be boiled down to, you know, engine issues, maybe? That doesn't mean it can't be fixed. It's like, I'm willing to forgive it a bit more than, like, a super major, like, half of the final boss's stuff is missing type deal. But, you know... You okay, little guy? There you go. There you go. You're safe. So, I almost jumped for a loop as I clipped out of bounds and unleashed. What? Oh my god. That reminds me of Generations. Classic Sonic. Your spin dash is kind of like the Sonic Adventure one, where it's one button, hold down charge, and it's super busted. And there are points in Sonic Generations where you can go so fast and fly so far that you just skip loading triggers. So while all the collision is still there, the level is just invisible. Like, how the hell? Like, I like Generations. I think it's a good game, but it has its moments. If you want to see a good example of that happening, watch the Brain Scratch commentary playthrough of Generations. I think that they may have done a revisited one at this point, but the original playthrough, Seaside Hill Act 1, they kind of just didn't load half the level. it was kind of funny. Oh no. Now the question is, will that be fixed for the updated version? I would think yes. Or at the very least, they expand the loading trigger so that way it, you know, can't be easily dodged. But like, I don't know how much they're changing for Sonic Generation. I don't know how much they're changing for Sonic Generations. I feel like most of the stuff's gonna be focusing on the Shadow half, which fair. But it's been confirmed they are making modifications to the original. Because now there's a proper visual tracker for the red rings. Like in Colors in Lost World. Where the fuck was that? Like I didn't think about it in Generations originally. You couldn't see how many red rings you got until after you beat a stage. And you couldn't see which ones you missed because it showed it linearly. Like, you didn't know you missed the third red ring. Like, if you got 3 red rings, but the third one, like you missed 3 and 5, but you collected 2, 3, and 4. When you go back to the hub, it shows that you got the first 3. Which is not how that works, and results in it being a little bit confusing. Now there's an actual, like a HUD thing for it. And then there's the Chow stuff. That's really cool. So they are editing and adding stuff to the original Sonic Generations. How much of the original game is gonna be fixed? Like, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. It's also like proper, you know. Also, I'm super glad that Sonic Team's doing that in-house. It's like no shade to the third-party stuff recently. I'm not blaming Blind Squirrel for what happened with Colors Ultimate, but that whole thing was a nightmare. I feel like I can trust it a bit more when Sonic Team does it themselves. Mainly because I feel like it's managed a little better. Because, like, we know what happened with Big Red Button and Sonic Boom. We had Blind Squirrel and Sonic Colors Ultimate. Our Zest and Sonic Superstars. All of which rushed to various extents. And Big Red Button, I think, got shut down because of Sonic Boom. Which is so unfortunate. So, when I see a Sonic game being done outside of Sonic Team, I get a bit worried that something with the management is gonna go a bit with it. Dimps used to be okay though, and then Sonic 4 happened, kind of ruined the reputation. They never fully recovered. I feel kind of sorry for them. Because like, the Advanced Trilogy was good. I liked the Rush games. Colors DS was great. And then Sonic 4 happened. And it soured the whole reputation of Dimps working on Sonic stuff. And then after Lost World 3DS, I don't think we ever heard from them again. So, like, apparently, something about third parties making Sonic games, there's some sort of problem there, and I should be worried. But when it's done by Sonic Team, that fear is at least somewhat gone. And I can't even blame the third-party development teams themselves for the problems, because, like, a lot of it's a time issue. Meaning it's because of freaking Sega. Maybe Sonic Team could just handle the crunch time a bit better, but they shouldn't be having crunch time at all. I don't know. But considering that there doesn't seem to be that sort of crunch time with Shadow, maybe things are gonna be okay. I don't know. Should I be excited or should I not be? That's the big spirit. Well, I figure some of the speedrun stuff might still go through because, like, you know, the community might get really upset the speedrun stuff was fixed to an extent. And considering how the time trials in updates to Sonic Frontiers went, I think Sega likes the speedrunners. So they turned those bugs into features. I feel like those are a little different. I don't know. Do they still make Sonic games, though? Or is their reputation so far gone that Sega's like, yeah, we're not having you make a Sonic game again? Because I don't think I've seen any news of them making a Sonic game since Lost World 3DS. There might be something I'm missing. Yeah, since they're not doing, like, smaller handheld versions of games anymore, that was Dimps' big thing. Doing the portable titles. Like, now that's not really a thing anymore. And they were just not really given anything else, I guess. So I don't know what Dimps is up to, like, outside of that, but, like, in terms of the Sonic stuff, I think Dimps has been done for over a decade. Okay, yeah, that makes sense they didn't patch out some of the speedrun stuff. Like, besides that, like, again, did they fix the frickin' loading error? Where, like, all the visuals are just gone. Is that fixed or not? I assume it would be. Considering that's not a speedrun glitch, you can't really use that to your advantage, I don't think. Because all the collision's still there. I would assume that'd be fixed at least. Yeah, I knew that much. But I didn't think they worked on anything after Lost World 3DS. Like that was the point where the portable Sonic game stuff kind of just died out because, you know, the Switch happened. So the home console version and the portable version would be the same version now. So there was no need for that extra side version. And well, the Rush series ended long before then, so... Not to mention, by that point, Dimps' reputation got soured by Sonic 4, so they never fully recovered. I've heard some weird things about Lost World 3DS, by the way. Like, I heard the beginning of the game's actually pretty good, and then it just becomes super bloated and drawn out by the midpoint. Like, levels taking 20 minutes, and like... I feel like Sonic's had this problem with level lengths lately. Like, it's either the levels are over in a minute, and they're barely memorable, Or the levels drag on for 20 minutes and you wish they would just end already and they become infamous. So you're either getting Sonic Forces in its basically entirety, or you're getting Eggman Land, which is super difficult and goes on for 30 minutes. There is no in-between. Again, that seems to be getting sorted out with Shadow, at least. Decently sized levels that aren't over super quick, but don't drag on. They're getting their shit together. I think. One speed is 2 causes deload. Ah. Well, I would figure it wouldn't like deload at least. Like, the glitch itself, is the glitch actively trying to deload stuff, or is the deload a side effect? Because if it's a side effect, stop the side effect. Unless the deload is integral to the glitch itself, and I don't know. 1,000 laws would take 10 plus minutes. Yeah, that's a bit much. That's a little bit much. Like I've seen gameplay of 3DS Lost World, and I've seen that timer up in the 20s. And I'm like, oh. Boy, am I glad I had the Wii U version. Shadow seems to average 5. Good. Good. I've done all the achievements on the original Sonic generations. Beating Green Hill Act 1 within a minute is an achievement. You have to actively go out of your way to try for that. It doesn't just happen casually. And then you have stuff like Forces and a solid chunk of Frontiers, because they do segments of levels instead of doing full levels. Where it's like, yeah, it's over in like a minute. It's a bit sad. Yeah, I want Sonic levels that are a good 3 to 5 minutes. And even levels that people complain about, like Planet Wisp in the original game, Planet Wisp Act 2. People complained it was too long. I was fine with it. And plus, you can definitely shorten it to be around the average time if you use the Rocket Wisp correctly. And people just didn't, I guess. No shiny that time. We'll do one more sandwich. So yeah, I want 3 to 5 minute Sonic levels. Like, that feels right to me. Early on, you can do a bit shorter because, you know, people might take longer if they're just starting the game. They're just trying to figure out things. So I understand if the beginning of the game's a little shorter. And then the end of the game being a bit longer is like a big test of your skills. Sure. But generally, 3 to 5 minutes feels like it'd be the perfect length for me. I have seen some of it. I've seen some of the footage where they show some of the side paths, and holy shit, it looks so good. Being able to stomp on the bouncing ropes to go higher and take higher paths that way is so cool. Like, you couldn't do that in 06. Like, you couldn't use the bounce bracelet to go down. It's not with the bounce bracelet, but you know what I mean. You couldn't bounce back and then go higher from there. Like, that was a cool new way of, like, fleshing out that old gimmick. And then there's a whole separate path, and it's just so cool. Like, I looked at that, like, you bounce off the rope, take a higher path, and then you grab onto the eagle as it flies by. It's not just sitting there waiting for you. It's so cool! It's so cool! The level levels are designed well! Oh my god! I want to play this game now, but I can't. The game's not out for like another month or so. Ah! It looks so good. I wanna hope it stays that good. Like, come on. Like, you're hyping me up here, guys. You're showing so much promise. Please live up to it. Please live up to it. Granted, I will be having a slightly inferior experience because I'll be playing the Switch version, so a lot of the graphics are going to be a bit, like, you know, downscaled, I guess. So it's not going to look as super fancy as, like, PS5 or anything, but, like, I don't give a shit about graphics that much. Like, I want them to look good. Like, I have my limits. I think Scarlet and Violet looks like shit, for example. But, like, you know, I'm not gonna act like it's my #1 priority. It's not like the Switch can't look good or anything. Like, Pikmin 4 was gorgeous. Granted, that was a first-party Nintendo game, and they know their hardware better than anyone else, but my god. Pikmin 4 was beautiful. The Switch can make stuff look beautiful, but I'm expecting it to not look as beautiful as something like a PS5. You know? So maybe it's not the definitive version or anything, but like, the gameplay is where it counts the most. As long as the game looks decent. Like, I liked Frontiers a lot. I gave it a solid B, even if, even if the Switch version did kind of force slow graphic settings and kind of looked like shit for a lot of it. But I'm more blaming that on the fact that the Switch is effectively just a slightly overclocked Xbox 360 in comparison to the other, like, console models. Like, Nintendo's always been a little behind when it comes to their consoles in terms of power. Because, like, GameCube was, like, the last time they were even vaguely close. Right? And then the Wii was basically the same as the GameCube again, maybe a little bit better. It was around PS2 levels. Then the Wii U, that's when they finally went to HD after everyone else did. It was roughly... It was kind of a PS3, but not really. And then Switch comes out, and it has roughly the power of an Xbox 360, I hear. Also already? And I think with the rumors going around here, Switch 2, I think, is going to have specs closer to a PS4. Which, fair enough. Like, I feel like Nintendo has played the long game and they've just kind of caught up. They've kind of caught up because, like, graphics aren't really improving as drastically as they used to. So Nintendo kind of just played the long game, and I think it worked out. So yeah, Switch 2 is going to be absolutely amazing for newer games. But we're stuck with the Switch just a little bit longer. So, some stuff will have to be sacrificed a little bit. But, you know, it won't be as bad. Oh no, some of the fog is gone, maybe. The textures are a bit more low res. But, like, it's still passable. It's not... it's not gonna look like this, where it just goes full on, like, N64. Mostly. At least I hope not, anyway. Especially considering, outside of the big hub world, Shadow Generations is mainly gonna be a typical Sonic game. In terms of, like, boost formula. It's not a huge open area this time. So that might do wonders. That might do wonders for visuals. What I'm saying is, the visual stuff I have problems with in Violet, I'm blaming the people who made Violet. Because this is only on Switch, you should know better. But when it comes to a multi-platform release done by someone who's obviously not Nintendo, like, fair enough, the Switch version's gonna look a little weird. Like, I'm not gonna hold that against them. There could be some better optimizations, sure, but it's not gonna be some major downside to me in that case. Like, I'm not gonna have that be against the game as a whole, because I know they're trying something. And the sacrifices they had to make weren't entirely their fault, because they were building a game for better consoles, you know, power-wise, and then had to scale it back, and that's probably, let's face it, not very easy to do. But when you're building a game specifically for this lower power console and you just can't manage, that's a problem. That's when I start taking issue. Do I feel like better optimizations can be made for multi-platform, where the Switch can still look fairly good? Yeah. But I'm not gonna hold it super against them. It's not like it's an exclusive or anything. We expect to be built around this one console. That's why, even though I've seen a lot of people complain about how bad Frontiers looks, and while I do admit that Frontiers looks a little bit rough on the Switch, I'm not gonna hold it accountable nearly as much as I would Scarlet and Violet. Not to mention, I feel like some people have problems with Frontier's look because the art direction is a bit of a different direction. And honestly, I feel like it wasn't a bad direction. I think the kind of more like the somber look of everything makes a lot of sense for the tone they were going for. So, like, honestly, I'm fine with it. Not to mention, it makes a major contrast between the main open zone gameplay and the cyberspace stuff, which, you know, is your typical Sonic look. Even if 3 of the 4 areas are just copy and pasted from Generations again. But, you know, fair enough. Like, I think Frontiers looking a bit dull and somber works really well, because they're trying to you know, stories about this I don't know, group of ancients fleeing their homeworld because it got blown up by the end. And you're now running through the remnants of that civilization after they've all gone extinct. And there are major parts of the story about loss and death and love and all that. And like, there are multiple times where you see Coco, which are like the spirits of the ancients left behind. There are points where you see them die. So I think having the main open world being the bright, colorful Sonic where we all know wouldn't really fit that so well. You know? I can understand people having problems with the direction, but like, for what they wanted to do, I think Frontiers did a pretty good job. I'm just kind of sick of the internet being like, this game is great, I love it, to a few months later, or even up to like a year later, being like, this game was actually bad the whole time, and we should scrutinize it. I'm like, no! No, no, no! Stop doing that! Stop freaking doing that. They're always like this. There's always some sort of discussion like that. It's not even just Sonic either. It's like all games have that sort of cycle. Like, a new game comes out, And as long as it's not an absolute dumpster fire, people praise it at first, and then a few months later, like 6 to 12 months later, then people start shitting on it like it was always bad. And I'm like, what the fuck? Come on, guys. If it was bad the entire time, people wouldn't have had fun with it when it first came out. Like, I still have my problems with Frontiers. Obviously because the game was rushed, but like, I still think the game's a solid B. Come on. I still thought Frontiers was good. I definitely prefer to play Generations or Adventure over it, sure, but I still liked it. It was still fun. You will never convince me that Frontiers is absolute dog shit. You will never convince me of that. I'm just tired of these discussions always boiling down to that. Our direction makes more sense to consider. Yeah. Like I said, there are some issues with it. But the general art direction they wanted to do, I think they did a good job. It's just that because it's their first real try doing an open world Sonic game, it's a bit awkward at points. Still a good game, and I still think the art direction's pretty good. Just saying. I just wish we wouldn't get back in this cycle with every game. With every major game that comes out, people praise it when it first comes out. Unless it's an absolute dumpster fire, then people are like, this game's actually really bad. Sure. But as long as it's a good game to start with, people praise it at first, and then a few months after, not everyone, there are plenty of people who are, sane and still remember that this game was good and they had fun with it. But you always see people bring up how the game was actually bad the whole time. There's a whole big argument about it online for weeks on end, and it's tiring. It happens all the damn time, and I'm getting so tired of it. It's like, I'm not gonna act like any of these games are fucking perfect. Like, by far, no way in hell. In fact, I don't really think there is such a thing as a perfect game. Because video games, in a way, are like, all art. In that there's always going to be some sort of flaw in it. Because, it's human. We make mistakes. We're not perfect either. So it's not going to be some absolute perfect thing. And that's okay. There's definitely ways you can make something better or worse. Acting like because that thing isn't perfect that it's just bad, actually. It's a really bad way of thinking. And maybe you can reconsider your opinion on a game later. Like, maybe when you first play a game, it's like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10. Then you play it again and maybe it's like a 7. Like, sure, after some time, and some of that, new release bias wears off, sure. You might think of it a little differently. Fair enough. But going and wildly swinging from, this game is an 8 or a 9, or even a 10, to, this game is a 4 at best, is just, what? Like, are you even playing the same fucking game? Come on! I took my time playing Frontiers. I played it multiple times and full cleared it. And even though I do have my problems with it, and there were definitely some rough patches in there, I still said that Frontiers is a solid B. Because I overall still had fun. I still thought it was a good game. And I put dozens of hours into it. Still, you know? Who cares? I saw a little bit of that with one of the trailers that came out. And honestly, yeah. It is kind of interesting to see how they turn an open zone into a typical, like, boost-style Sonic level. Even if Shadow's gameplay isn't quite the same as typical Boost Sonic, you know? His stuff's could be designed a little differently, but, like, it's still the same, like, general feel, you know? It's kind of interesting to see how they redesign everything to do that. To fit with that gameplay style. It's kind of neat. I just think it's kind of neat. And you could tell they're definitely being creative with some of these too. It's like, yeah, these are all old levels. Or like, at the very least, like not brand new anymore. They're like all like, retreads. But they're doing more unique stuff with them. And that's really cool. Like, there's that whole bit, which I think is in the Space Colony arc, where Black Doom shows up and kind of, like, warps reality. That's pretty cool. The bouncing on the ropes to go on higher paths, and then homing attack in the eagle as it flies by instead of it waiting for you. Like, that's a cool way of like, remixing how 06 did it. Like, that's how I think that these, like, retreads should always be. Like, it shouldn't be one-to-one. It should be like, yeah, we're gonna take these old ideas and make them new again. We're gonna do a few more creative things here and there. It's like, even Mania, which was 2/3 old zones, and even had Green Hill and Chemical Plant again. They still did unique stuff with it. Even if they brought back a lot of the old, like, level design motifs and stuff from the original games, they still did unique stuff. Chemical Plant Act 2 was based around the different like, types of goop. You have like dark blue goop, which was a hazard, and then you can make it light blue goop, which bounced you a little bit, or green, which bounced you sky high. And then like you'd stick to goop walls and like really taking the chemical aspect of it and then flushing it out. Like that was really cool. So even though it was Chemical Plant again, it still felt fresh and unique. And that's how I feel like going back to old levels should be. It's probably the main reason I feel like people really like Mania even with the retreads, but don't really care for Forces as much. Because Forces feels super uninspired. While Mania, even if it is 2/3 retreads, and even if people like the 1/3 originality more, people still liked all of the new flair they added to these old levels. You know? Kind of the same thing with Mario. Like, people got really sick of the new Super Mario Bros. Formula. The grass, desert, water, forests, ice, mountain, sky, lava. That got tiring after a while. New Super Mario Bros. Became known for being freaking bland. And then Mario Wonder happens, and even though there is still plenty of like the desert, forest, that sort of thing, they put unique spins on it to make it more unique. And there are still hints of that in the new Super Mario Bros. Series. A standout bit that I see people talk about a lot with Mario U is when you get to the Soda Jungle and you're going into the Forest of Illusion based like haunted forest bit, the backgrounds have this kind of like painted look. It all looks like you're in some sort of painting. Like that's super cool, it's super unique. But the rest of the game feels kind of uninspired by comparison. And then you have Mario Wonder, which takes so many different spins on it, and actually went out its way to do creative things with the environment and different wonder effects and everything. And that's why people really like that. Oh my god. Okay. That being said, why Chaos Island? What was called Island? Because Chaos Control, Chaos Emeralds, ha 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 ha, linking that all together. I can't, but honestly, Chaos Island Redemption Arc? But yeah, it would be kind of nice to see what some of the other islands would look like. But at the same time, Chaos Island Redemption Arc. Just saying. So, as you can see, this is a 2-segment Dudunsparce by default. 3 segments do not spawn in the wild. Only 2 segments do. So this guy's already kind of a dud. So, I'm just gonna start throwing random stuff at it. It's a bit long enough for a timer ball yet. Doesn't look like it. Come on. Get in the ball. I'll use a repeat ball. That should work well. Nope. They said they were gonna patch that, by the way, where repeat catches only looks like critical captures. They never fixed that. It'd be nice if they did, but they never did. Repeat ball again! Stay! There we go! There we go. How much time do I have left with sandwich? Can't be that much, right? About 10 minutes. Fair enough. 10 more minutes. Hoping I find maybe one more. One more Dudunsparce. Yeah, there's a good way of doing nostalgia in games and a bad way. And, it seems to me that Shadow Generations, much like Sonic Generations before it, is trying to aim for the good version, where they take the concepts of the original and expand them, or do something a little differently. And you know what? It looks like they're succeeding so far, based on the gameplay footage. So yeah. There's a good way and a bad way. And the fact that we got near back-to-back releases is a big difference. Frontiers, even though I did have some fun in the cyberspace segments, mostly did it the bad way. Let's just take designs for levels we already made, because but one-to-one from Generations or SA2 and just plop them in here, like, that feels so lazy to me. So it's fun, but it's kind of lazy and not really creative or anything at all, you know? And then you have Shadow Generations, which takes some of the past ideas and either fleshes them out a bit more or does something a bit more unique with them. The contrast is crazy. The contrast, it's so different. And I think that's why people are actually excited about Shadow going to the old levels. Instead of when people saw those Green Hill come with the Plant Sky Sanctuary with the old level designs, people were a bit about it. You know? There is a difference. There is a difference in approach to that. And also, I'm glad that Sonic Team's taking this route with nostalgia, considering this is meant to tie in with Sonic Generations. It's Shadow's equivalent adventure. So, of course, a similar design philosophy for how you're doing like the level gimmicks and everything in the basic level design should kind of match that, you know? Which makes me wonder. I doubt it'll happen, but it'd be hilarious. Do you think there's any possibility that when you beat both games, you could swap characters? Like, I understand there's gonna be some level design differences, and the differences between Sonic and Shadow might break things. But imagine, once you beat both games, you can play through Shadow Generations of Sonic and Sonic Generations of Shadow with their unique gameplay. Imagine! now I'm wishing for too much, but it'd be hilarious, wouldn't it? If I fucking called that, like if they actually do it and I called it before like any official like, reveal or before the game came out or anything, that'd be amazing. But I doubt it'll happen. I doubt it'll happen. It'd be cool though. It'd be cool though. We'll use the lavas presumably for later. Yeah. I mean, I guess. But at the same time, you could probably bring over at least a little bit. For the Shadow Generations bit, you can just copy it straight from Frontiers. So, like, maybe it wouldn't play exactly like Sonic Generations, sure. But it would play like Frontiers. And, you know, Sonic Generations was modified in its control scheme to be a bit more like Frontiers. For example, the boost is on the triggers. So, you know, that's there. And Shadow might take a little bit more work with his, like, new, you know, abilities and everything, but, like, you know, you can still do a little bit of stuff. At the very least, if you can't bring in, like, the Black Doom stuff, you can't have him ride a weird alien manta ray or turn him into Squid. You can at least let him use his chaos powers, like Chaos Spear, Chaos Control, and all that. That could be interesting. So maybe it won't be a one-to-one swap, but like being able to have at least some of their gameplay transfer over would be kind of cool. But again, it's wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking, but it'd be kind of cool. Just a kind of interesting thing because they're kind of meant to be sort of parallel to each other. I just think it'd be kind of neat. I just think it'd be kind of neat. And again, I feel like half of the work for getting Sonic into Shadow Generations has already been done. So, like, it wouldn't be as much work as you might think. But at the same time, I could understand it's not a thing. It could be an update thing, though, and... Okay, now I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it, I'm sorry. I'm pushing it. It would be kind of cool. It would be kind of cool. They could always modify the levels on a little bit in Shadow Generations. Like, it could be kind of like how they did things with Sonic Colors and Super Sonic. Once you unlock Super Sonic, it's a toggle in the options menu. And when Super Sonic is enabled, you can't use Wisps at all. And because some levels require the use of Wisps to get through, they modify the level a bit with extra springs or other obstacles so that way you can still beat the levels as plain old Sonic. You know, just in case you get hit too much and you can't go super. You know, they could modify the levels a little bit. That's why I'm saying I feel like it'd be more of a thing for an update, kind of like what happened with Sonic Frontiers. But I just think the concept would be cool in general, you know? I just think it'd be a fun thing they could do. But I feel like it'd have to be a bonus thing, if anything. If it happens, it'd be cool. But if it doesn't, I get it. And you know what? Prioritize the main game first, like I said before. But it'd be a funny hypothetical. It'd be a funny hypothetical. They could also take a cheap way out and just give Sonic more wisp powers, but like... No, don't do that. Don't do that at least. Keep the West in colors. And I guess Lost World and Forces as, you know, as their... the Wisps really should have just stayed in colors. They forced them into extra games they did not really belong in. I feel like they kind of lost the plot after Colors. I'm sorry. All the Wisps were supposed to have gone home, and now there's just Wisps on this world now because they just happened to stay behind. And now there's more variants that didn't exist before. What the heck? Oh man. Alright. Sandwich is done. Who said we'd be getting a second playable character for Shao at all? Is that a guaranteed thing? Or is that... Are they teasing? Are they actually teasing something? Or what? So I feel like that, like, it could be representing, like, Shadow and then the Doom powers, you know? Not necessarily a second playable character. But I don't know. I'm not gonna speak too soon. Ooh! This one has a mark. Okay. So even though this one was kind of a dud because it, you know, isn't a 3-segment, and I caught it pre-evolved, it at least has a mark. And the other one... Naive. Good Hyper Drill. Bag. And evolve you. Dudunsparce is evolving. Two segment. Okay. Fair enough. We are now at 13 Dudunsparce. Let's update the counter. And boom. And with that, I think we're going to end stream for now. So, because I didn't stream yesterday, and because it's been a little bit since I streamed doing, you know, Dudunsparce stuff, I think it's fair that I at least do this for another week. Next Thursday and next Friday, we'll do more of this. We'll get at least a few more Dudunsparce. You know? And then I'll do the poll again. Japanese website for Sonic Cloud Sonic Monster together. This is Shadow's Dark Icons is coming soon. Was it updated after the Doom Power stuff was added, or not? I feel like that would be a thing for, like, base Shadow and then Shadow's extra abilities. Because I can't possibly see how they could do a whole second character. Unless there's some, like, extra gimmick stage I don't know about. Like, they're, like, not special stages or anything, but, like prologue stages or something, or maybe you're playing a stage as Omega or something. I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't really know if the Shadow Generation attack really needs a second character, considering how focused on Shadow it is. How fleshed out he already is with his Chaos powers and the Doom stuff. So I don't really think it needs a second character. I think we're fine with just Shadow. Anyway, that's going to be it for this stream. We got 3 more Dudunsparce. And I'm hoping we at least get to 20 by the end of next week. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this 2 more streams, and then I'll do the poll again. It's running the same way to separate classic and modern. I'll have to look at the website myself, because, again, I feel like we don't really need a second playable character in Shadow's campaign. I think Shadow is good enough as is. But what do I know? What do I know? Anyway, that's going to be it for this stream. I'm going to go eat some supper. And, I guess check out the Japanese website for Sonic and Shadow. Because, now you've made me curious. I'll see you guys next week. See you guys.